I wanted to make another movie with Keira Knightley, but I was scared of it. So I said I'd only take it on if Tom Stoppard wrote the screenplay, kind of thinking that he wouldn't, and that would get me out of it. But after a period of a couple of months during which we talked over the ideas and our possible approach, Tom agreed. He then went away and locked himself in a country cottage for 6 weeks and wrote the screenplay, delivered after 6 weeks. Yeah. And he wrote it all in blue ink by hand. I think Tolstoy set out to write a book about a woman who was kind of depraved, that he could hold up as kind of to condemn. And as he wrote the book, it's almost like the characters lifted up off the page in front of him. And instead of, condemning her, he began to understand and finally love her. And I think that's what's fascinating about the book for me and the character, is this kind of ambivalent relationship that the novelist had and that I also share. For some time, I was very influenced by a Russian theatre director called Meyerhold, who talks about stylization as being about the subtraction of surface rather than decoration, So I was thinking a lot about that stuff, and then I was also, going around stately homes in England and Russia looking for locations. I thought one day, well, if I were to set this in one location, which was the idea, what would that location be? And the theatre seemed appropriate given the way in which Russian society operated at the time. They almost seemed to have a kind of identity crisis. They desperately, they didn't know whether they were Eastern or Western, and they desperately wanted to be French, to be Parisian, really. And so they all spoke French and to each other, and they wore the latest Paris fashions, and they even had their ballrooms mirrored so that they could watch their own performances as they interacted. So the theatre seemed like an appropriate metaphor on that level, and also on the emotional level for Anna, and indeed all the characters, the way that Lolstoy, turns his back on the sort of artifice of the society and seeks a more authentic life, and the way in which Anna is kind of playing the role of being a mother and a wife, and it doesn't kind of fit her. Well, Keira, I've had the kind of amazing experience of, she was 18 when we made Pride and Prejudice, and I've watched her develop from stunning ingenue to what I believe to be a great actress. After Atonement, she went through quite a difficult period, I think, personally, not least because of press intrusion and so on. And so kind of backed off quite a lot and did some theatre. And I think the saying, if it doesn't kill you, it'll make you stronger, is true in Keira's case. I saw her again after some time and discovered her to suddenly be far more empowered than she'd been as a younger woman, and have this kind of devastating honesty in terms of her femininity. She's not afraid to play characters that we might possibly have quite an ambivalent reaction to. We both understood that the Anna that we read in the book wasn't necessarily a heroine, but was a kind of somewhere between a heroine and an anti-heroine, really. And she embraced that and has an amazing bravery and boldness.